Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Myself Kuhu Sarkar, and today I'm going to start a new series where I'm going to talk about postmodern writers and their writing style. And this is an introductory video where I'm going to talk about the postmodern period and its background and the features of postmodernism. So I hope you will like it. So let's start postmodernism in English literature. What is postmodernism? Postmodernism literature is a literature that is characterized by the use of metafiction, unreliable narrator, self-reflexivity, intertextuality, and which often thematizes both historical and political issues. This style of experiment literature emerged strongly in the United States in the 1960s through the writings of authors like Kurt Vonnegut, Thomas Pynchon, William Geddes, Philip K. Kathy Archer, and John Barth. So, postmodern literature is a form of literature that uses the characterize the use of metafiction, unreliable narration, self-reflexivity, and intertextuality. These are the features of postmodern literature. So, let's know more about it. Postmodernists often challenge the authorities. So, postmodernists often challenge the authorities, which has been seen as a symptom of the fact that this style of literature first emerged in the context of political tendencies in the 1960s. This inspiration is, among other things, seen through how postmodern literature is highly reflexive and the political issues it speaks to. So it challenged the authorities, it challenged the power structure, it challenged the center. The most important features of postmodern literature that it challenged the center, it challenged the authorities, it challenged the universal truth. Postmodernism, the postmodern period emerged in the mid 20th century as a reaction to the aftermath of World War II, the disillusionment with the modernists. So it speaks the disillusionment with modernist ideals, the cultural shift of the time, and including the rise of consumerism and mass media. So it including the rise of consumerism and mass media and technology. It characterized by the rejection of grand narrative. So it characterized the rejection of grand narratives, blurring the high and low culture. So there is no high and no low culture, all is equal. Then philosophical and artistic influence such as the works of thinkers like Jacques Derrida, artistic movement like pop art played a significant role in shaping postmodern thought and culture. So, philosophers like Jacques Derrida, Michael Foucault, Roland Barthes, they made a remarkable influence in the writing of postmodern literature. So it sought to challenge the established norm and embrace complexity and explore the impact of technology and social movement on contemporary life. So it sought to challenge the established norm. It challenged the established norm and embrace the complexity and explore impact on technology and social media. So let's see the features of postmodernism. It is a this is a cover of postmodern writing. So postmodernism is a complex and multifaceted cultural, artistic, and intellectual movement that emerged in the mid 20th century, and it characterized by several key features. So let's see the features one by one. First, the important feature is it rejection of grand narrative. So postmodern literature and postmodern writers reject the grand narrative. Postmodernism rejects the idea of overarching and universal truth or grand narrative. Instead, it emphasizes the diversity of perspective and relativity of truth. So, if you are a hero, if you are a king, if you are a powerful person, it is not that your voice is only heard. So they just reject the grand narratives, the king and queen narratives, the political powers narrative. They emphasizes the other minority characters like servant, like the poor person or the subculture. So they embrace the other cultures diversity, other cultures opinion, other cultures perspective. So they give the equal perspective to other voices and relativity of truth, that it is not your speech will only be heard and your speech is only true, others perspective, other minority characters speeches can also be true. Then skepticism towards authority. So it features the skepticism towards authority. It not going to hear the authority's voice. Postmodernism questions the authority and whether it's in the form of established institution, political structures or traditional ideologies. Its critical power structures and often seeks to deconstruct them. So it just unheard the authorities' voice or authorities' as political speech. Then the important features of postmodern writing is metafiction. Postmodernism literature often blurs the line between fiction and reality. So there is nothing between the fiction and reality. Sometimes you think that the writers going to tell you, or the narrator going to tell you that it is not a fiction, it is reality. Sometimes you think that no, it is a fiction, so writers himself going to talk about going to talk with you, and it just broke the boundaries of or the fourth wall, right? You know the absurd drama, the uh, these kind of drama or literature, you see that they just broke the fourth wall. Then metafictional works self-consciously draw attention to the fact that they are construct and challenging the reader's sense of reality. So if you are going to watch a drama and the um, characters came and told you that this is not a drama, we are just play acting, so it just broke the fourth wall and it came to you and going to talk with you. So it blurs the fiction and reality, the wall between fiction and reality. Then important features is intertextuality. Postmodernism frequently incorporates intertextuality, references to others works and literature. So it postmodern frequently uses the intertextuality. Mean if you are going to read one book, you can see that this book story, you can have the reference from other book, then from other book, maybe it's one or two or three or more. So it always uses the intertextual reference to other works of literature, art or pop culture. These references can be subtle or overt or add layers of meaning to the text. So if you don't know about this text or this text or this text, like if I want to give you example wasteland, if you don't know the other writings, you cannot understand wasteland. You have to read the other writings because it is highly intertextual. Then the most important feature is fragmentation, because after the two world wars the world is totally destroyed, it is in deep distress. So you cannot accept from there a linear writing or a writing which have the beginning, middle and end. So you have to expect, because the world is totally fragmented, right? So their literature also shows the feature of fragmentation. Postmodernism narratives are often fragmented, non-linear, because there is no starts, no middle, no end, because they are writing in zigzag way. They are non-linear, disjointed. There is no joint, no joint between it. So lack of traditional beginning, middle and end, reflecting the chaotic nature of contemporary life, because after the two world wars the world is totally chaotic. So how can you expect the linear writing? How can you expect a total beautiful beginning, middle and end? Because the world is in distress, so their writing should be have the features of fragmentation, right? So their writing has totally disjointed, non-linear, against the traditional way of writing and reflecting the chaotic nature like the contemporary life. Then irony and parody. Irony and parody are common tools in postmodern works. They play with established conventions and subvert them humorous and critical effect. So there are irony and parody because they most often try to criticize the political power, the political structure. So they use the irony and parody to criticize the power structure, because for them the world war happens, right? So hyper reality, as Baudelaire said, the simulacrum, use the term hyper reality. So postmodernism explores the concept of hyper reality, where the boundaries of reality and simulation become blurred. This is often associated with the influence of media and technology and the contemporary culture. So as Baudelaire said that the Gulf War is never happened, like if there is any event is happening there, but in TV you see that they saying the breaking news. Maybe there's nothing happened, but they just made the news to make you aware or make you give a shock or fear that this happened. So as Baudelaire said that the Gulf War never happened because it shows you which is unreal. So it make you some kind of fool, you can say, right? So it is hyper reality text. Postmodern explores the concept of hyper reality, where the boundaries between real and simulation becomes blurred. You cannot understand what is really happened in this place, because the media and the TV channels totally going to make you fool. Then cultural relativism. Postmodernism embrace cultural relativism, acknowledging that different culture have their own valid and perspectives and truth. As I already told you, that they give emphasis other cultures' perspective. That if you are a British, it is not true that you are always right. A Indian can also be right. A Pakistan can also be right. If they are poor country, or if they are third world country and you are the first world country, it is not always true that you are always right and they are always wrong. So their voices should be heard. Therefore they accepts other cultural perspectives. It opposes cultural imperialism and ethnocentric. So it opposes cultural imperialism. Then pluralism is also same, that postmodernism celebrates diversity and pluralism in all aspects of life, including art, culture, identity. It rejects the idea of a single dominant culture or artistic style. So it rejects the idea of a single dominant culture or artistic style. It gave emphasis of every cultures and every other artistic forms. Disruption of language. So after the world war, before the world war, it is said that word has the meaning, language has the meaning. Through the language you can express your emotion, you can express your feeling. But after the world wars, they just totally rejects the power of language. Postmodernism writers often experiment with language, challenging the linguistic norms and conventions. It can result in playful wordplay and even a disconstruction of language itself. So it said that power language has now no meaning. Before that, when people believe in religion, people believe in language, they said that a language has the power to express your feeling, express your belief. But after the world war, there is no truth, there is no belief um, now there. So they just reject the power of language. If I give you an example, like the Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, you see the lucky speech, right? You see the lucky speech, which is totally an absurd or rubbish. It is totally absurd, rubbish, and he's just speaking like that. So it, they said that after the world war, people just lost their language, lost the language, how they can express their suffering, how they can express the pain. So it rejects the language power, and therefore it always use wordplay and even construct language itself. Then consumerism culture, consumerism and mass media. Postmodernism explores influence of consumerism culture, mass media, society and individuals. Like, it often critiques the commodification and culture. Like, if you have the painting of Mona Lisa, you said that it is the real Mona Lisa picture, but you see that others also have the same painting. Because of the consumerism and mass media, they just print it out and have it. So there is they it after the world war, or after the arising of consumerism and mass media, art has lose its authenticity. So it just lose its authenticity, everyone has the same thing as you have. So it critiques the consumerism and the commodification of art and culture. Then postmodern literature is a literature which is marked both stylistically and ideologically by a reliance on such literary convention as fragmentation, paradox, unreliable narrator, often unrealistic and downright impossible plots and games, parody, paranoia, dark humor, authorial self-reference. Postmodern authors tend to reject outright meanings, and their novel stories, poems instead highlight the celebration of possibility of multiple meanings or a complete lack of meaning within a single literary work. So these are the features of postmodernism. Postmodernism literature often rejects boundaries between high and low culture, high and low form art and literature, as well as the distinction between different genres and forms of writing and storytelling. Here are some examples of stylistic techniques. So let's revise again a little bit. Pastiche they use, the taking of various ideas from previous writings and literary style, mean they just doing pastiche, mean they taking other works ideas and previous writings and styles and pasting them together in a new style. Then intertextuality, I had already told you that intertextuality, acknowledgement of previous literary works within a literary work. Then metafiction, the act of writing about writing or making readers aware that the fictional nature of the very fiction they are reading. So they make them understand that what you are seeing, it is not real, or it is a fiction. They just broke the fourth wall. Then temporal distortion, the use of non-linear timelines and narrative techniques in a story. Minimalism, the use of characters and events which are decidedly common and non-exceptional characters. The use of characters and events which are decidedly common and non-exceptional characters. Then maximism, they disorganize lengthy highly detailed writing. So sometimes they just use minimalism, and sometimes they using maximalism, mean they use disorganized lengthy highly detailed writing. This is not needed but they using it. Then magical realism, this is the important feature. Magical realism, the introduction of impossible and unrealistic events in a narrative that is otherwise realistic. So it use magic, and it going to tell you the story and you think that it is real, but it use the magic or the supernatural things in their writing, like Salman Rushdie's The Midnight Children. Then faction, the mixing of actual historical events with fictional events without clearly defining what is factual or what is fictional. Readers' involvement, often through direct address to the reader and often acknowledgement of the fictional nature of the event being described, like the French lieutenant woman. It had three or four endings, and reader have to decide that what ending they like, what ending they choose. So it is giving you the opportunity to involve with the writing itself. The features are not exhaustive, and postmodern can manifest differently across various fields, including literature, art, architecture, philosophy, more. It's a movement that encourages questioning and re-evaluating established norms and assumptions, embracing complexity, ambiguity in the process. Then let's see some examples. Metafiction, if I give you the example of metafiction, Kurz Vonnegut Salter House is an example of metafiction, where the author himself appears as a character and comments on the writing process. So author himself coming as a character. Then example of intertextuality, as I already told you that Wasteland by T.S. Eliot has various literary and mythological reference and poems fabric enriching its meaning, so it has high intertextuality. Then if I give you the example of fragmented narratives, in Joseph Heller's writing, Catch 22 is a disjointed chronology mirrors the absurdity of war and bureaucracy. Then irony and parody. Thomas Pynchon's The Crying or Lot 49 is an example of parodies and conspiracy theories, bureaucracy, inefficiency. Then diverse perspective, as I told you that Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children incorporate various narrative voices, reflects India's complex history. Then meta narratives or skepticism of postmodern works, like Don DeLillo's White Nose is an example or critiques the commodification of knowledge and contemporary society. Playful language, like Italio Calvino, if on a winter's night a traveler. It is an important work. It has explores the relationship between reader, author, and the text itself through linguistic innovation. Then cultural critic, Bret Easton Ellis' American Psycho satirizes the excesses of 1980s Wall Street culture. So that's all. These features collectively challenge traditional storytelling and in conventions and immerse readers in a more interactive and reflexive way, encouraging them to question and explore the complexities of the narrative and the world it reflects. So that's all. I hope you can understand through my lecture. And if you have anything to any queries or anything to say, you can write in the comment section. And if you like my video, you can hit the like button and encourage me. And if you want videos about any writers, you can also comment it. So thank you for giving your time. I hope you I will make more videos like that. Thank you.